well be in the G League as they are in the league. I don't think there's a big discernible difference from most of their rotation guys and guys that they could pluck straight from the G League right now. I mean, Eric Pascal's had some signs, other guys have, but there's just not many NBA players on that roster, Jason, and Russell and Green have both missed time as well. So I mean, it's one of the most talent devoid rosters I recall in recent memory. I mean, they're just the guys who Steve Kerr is plugging in are just, I mean, it's crazy. He could sign someone off the street tomorrow who would crack the rotation at this point. So he's joked a lot about it. I think he's done a good job. But I think on the other side of this equation with the Kings, it that sort of win I think really epitomizes the Kings. And I think that's what's so interesting about the fact that you plucked it out is that they're this team who just seems to shoot themselves in the foot. I mean, they're a team with overwhelming, overflowing talent. If you look at their guys, I mean, my goodness, Jason, they have probably 10 NBA players who are solid. They have guys like Nemanja Bjelica, who would start for a lot of teams. He does for this team. Rashawn Holmes has been phenomenal for them. Harrison Barnes, former Golden State Warrior, in fact, all-star level type player. Corey Joseph, one of the best backup point guards a year ago. They've healed, who you mentioned. They have Bagley. They have Trevor Ariza, De'Aaron Fox, Bogdan Bogdanovic. They have Harry Giles, Dwayne Dedman. I mean, the list just goes on, and yet they can't really seem to put it together, Jason. I mean, what is it about Sacramento that's causing all these issues?
They're the Kings. I mean, I don't really know how much more I could say on them. They're just the Kings, and it's not the right mesh of talent. And, I want to see, I think Heald and Fox are keepers. I think Bagley, I'm on the fence about. Other than that, this roster doesn't have any long term promise. They really have to keep. Look, they've had a couple of years drafting smart. They need to keep doing it and eventually hope for the right combination of talent and basketball IQ. And then, hey, they might make the playoffs one day.
Yeah, I mean, they still have a chance to make the playoffs now. I mean, ultimately, if you look at the standings right now, you can see that the Kings currently, if the playoffs started today, I know that's one of the most annoying phrases in sports, but they're the seventh seed right now. And that's with them missing all that time with De'Aaron Fox. And ultimately, the West is just not all that great this year. I mean, quite frankly, you could make the case that the East is better than the West this year, and it wouldn't be an insane thing to say. So with the return of Fox, who knows what could happen for this team? But enough talk of the Kings, Jason. Let's talk about the real juggernauts of the NBA because we've had a pretty interesting opening with, as you mentioned earlier, the Bucks winning 18 in a row, and now the Lakers on their own streak. However, breaking news from the baseline jumper, that winning streak of 7 games was just snapped by the Pacers as the Pacers just prevailed 105-102. So, what do you make of these two teams, Jason, the Lakers and the Bucks, and the way that they're starting to get a bit ahead of the rest of the conferences, respectively?
I'm kind of happy about that because now that you have Milwaukee coming off a loss against Dallas and the Lakers coming off a loss against the Pacers, that sets up a collision course on Thursday, a little sneak peek of our marquee matchups. That game's going to be on there. But that's good that both teams are coming off a loss. They'll be hungrier and ready to go. But look, in a year where we thought the league was wide open, you have all these teams signing superstars, and, the Clippers still working to get their legs under them, the Sixers being inconsistent, the Celtics being inconsistent, a lot of the West teams struggling. I mean, it looks like these two teams are on a collision course to meet in the NBA Finals. Now, as much of a gauntlet as the West is, it's not guaranteed that the Lakers get out, but they've been playing really well. LeBron James, we talked about the LeBron-assance the past few episodes, has been otherworldly. Anthony Davis has been playing hurt and playing very well. Dwight Howard looks like he's 25 years old again. And the bench is doing their thing. I think Vogel's calling great games there on the bench with his plethora of former head coaches, Jason Kidd, Lionel Hollins. And then with the Bucks, I mean, the past 3 or 4 shows, I've been telling you how good they are, and you refuse to believe. So I'm hoping at this point you've bought in because outside of that loss to Dallas where Giannis had no help, they've looked great. Middleton's come back healthy. I think DiVincenzo has looked good starting in place of the injured Eric Bledsoe. The fact that they won so many games in a row without Bledsoe, you got the Lopez brothers, you have Kyle Korver. So these teams are both very, very good. I think that the Bucks right now are head and shoulders above the rest of the East because you saw the way Philly looks with Embiid on load management. I think this was a wake-up call loss to the Mavericks for the Bucks, and that's going to set up Thursday Night Showdown to be even more intense.
I mean, talk to me about the Bucks come April. I want to see it in the playoffs, but
Still
I,
not a believer. Can you believe it, folks? I've been talking about how good the Bucks are now for the 2 months that the season's been
hey,
going on, and this compadre of mine won't give me water. 6 hours away in Pittsburgh will not buy into the Bucks. I'm about to hang up. I can't. Like, dude.
you know what? I just talk to me in May. I might even have a little bit of
You
change.
just said April.
I, April, May, as the playoffs begin,
How about
Jason,
this,
I
Ben?
have a
I'm
little
going to
bit
talk
of
to you in June.
change on
Let's
those
see the
Milwaukee Bucks
Sixers
to
win
win
the
games.
championship. No, you know what? I'm going to talk to you in June when the Sixers lose in the second round and the Bucks go to the finals.
Well, we might have to make a little baseline jumper bet on who comes out of the East this year because I still think this is a team that's gonna thrive in the regular season. As I was saying, I may have even invested a little bit of my own hard-earned dollars on them as a regular season team, but I'm not there yet with them as a playoff team. I don't trust their other guys, and I think teams are gonna make those other guys beat them. On the flip side of that is the Lakers, who I think are really starting to show that they have to be taken seriously as a title contender. I was really concerned about their depth, but the truth is that they're making it almost irrelevant with how good the top two are. I mean, LeBron has really made himself into a different kind of player this year. He's become a lot more of a creator for this team. And then you look, and the thing that's pretty interesting is that they do have a few kind of interesting movable contracts, and there continues to be buzz that if Andre Iguodala gets bought out, that's the place he wants to go. You take into account that they have a guy like Danny Green, who's a perfect kind of role player for them. Their center rotation is playing well. They're kind of one piece away from being, I think, a pretty decent championship favorite, at least out of the West. I mean, I had a lot of faith in the Clippers, but you really have to take this Lakers team, I think, seriously because those top two are so good. And while I'm concerned about some of the supporting cast of the Bucks, like can Chris Middleton, can Eric Bledsoe, can Brook Lopez, can they become a star on the days where Giannis doesn't have it in the playoffs? There's no concern with the Lakers. You've got Davis and James. If one of them has a bad night, the other one can pick it up. And we've seen it all season long. I mean, we just saw in this past week Anthony Davis just going off. And when he does that, he can almost single-handedly win them games. I mean, and that's the thing. I mean, he had 50 points against Minnesota, and we know LeBron can do it. We've seen it in the playoffs. For me, the Bucks have to prove it. The Lakers have already done it.
Yeah, I still think the Clippers are the better team, though, because if we're being honest here, Ben, the Clippers have lost some games due to load management. They really haven't had Paul George and Kawhi Leonard healthy for too long of a stretch, and they've lost some games as a result because they're playing a long game. I mean, I think we're seeing peak Lakers because the way they sit right now at an NBA best, what are they, 20-4 now, 19-4? Can you fact check me there, Brainiac?
I absolutely can, Jason. Let me look right now. So the Los Angeles Lakers, if I can pull this up, are, and now my computer slows down. They are 24, and it looks like this will be their fifth loss. So 24-5.
Incredible, right? Like absolutely incredible. But I think that they're peaking because the glue guys, the rotation guys like the Dwight Howards, the Quinn Cooks, the Rajon Rondos, the Danny Greens, they're not going to get better as the season goes on. So it's going to end up going to sit on the shoulders of LeBron James and Anthony Davis. And I've been preaching this. If one of those guys get hurt, I'm hoping neither of them do. This team's in serious trouble. So I think the short-term play when you talk about the best team in the West is the Los Angeles Lakers, but the better long-term play is the Clippers for sure. So much like we spoke about what we were thankful for before our Thanksgiving show, Ben and I put together a little bit of a baseline jumper Christmas wish list. Now, the rule is, the Nets and Bulls winning the title. No, something on their NBA wish list for Christmas 2019. So these aren't New Year's resolutions for the teams we root for or the league as a whole. This is not a thing for 2020 predictions or anything like that. It's basically Christmas is next Wednesday. This is what Ben and I want under our Christmas trees for Christmas. We were on the nice list. Ben wouldn't get me war, but that's not going to detract him from being nice. So I'm going to let you start, and I'm going to just give the people a preview. This is also a bit of a Ben's Bulls Blues integration, folks.
Yeah, I mean, if anyone here knows me as well as Jason does, they know that this list is going to be very Bulls inspired. So I don't know if we want to go one and then one or just do our whole list. What are you feeling, Jason?
Let's go one and one, mix it up a little bit.
So I guess the top of my wish list is I want my guy here, Jim Boylan, my preseason coach of the year pick. Yes, I'm going to have to eat some crow. I am hoping that he gets fired. He has been atrocious. The Bulls have been terrible. So my number one Christmas wish is that Jim Boylan is no longer the coach of the Bulls in the new year.
Yeah, well, we could have a second head coach firing after you thought there wasn't going to be any. Actually, real quick, I want to look at my coach predictions here because I believe you had said that no coach would get fired.
I
Oh,
did.
and I said Mike D'Antoni, so we were both wrong. The Rockets, though, they leave a lot to be desired. But mine is I'm not going to be a Nets homer here. I only have one Nets thing, but I'm hoping for healthy returns for both Karis LeVert and Kyrie Irving. LeVert is traveling with the Nets right now on the current 2-game road trip to New Orleans and San Antonio. Kyrie Irving is not. That leads me to believe that LeVert's return will come first, and then Kyrie Irving hopefully shortly thereafter. So under my Christmas tree, I would like Kyrie Irving and Karis LeVert not wrapped in bandages.
Yeah, I hear you. Karis LeVert on my fantasy team. Get well soon, Karis. Um, Going to number two, very similar to yours. I am hoping that Otto Porter Jr., who is remarkably valuable for the Bulls, comes back. Not much to be said here. The Bulls don't have any wings. Otto Porter very much needed.
Yeah, Ebenezer Scrooge, ladies and gentlemen, here. All negative bull stuff. Unbelievable. So I'm going to go to my second, and that is that the Hawks and Pelicans begin to turn their seasons around. I mean, the Hawks leave a lot to be desired. They're getting blown out every night. Um, they're missing John Collins. Trae Young is balling. They just don't have enough pieces. And then the Pelicans, they're missing Zion. They're missing Derek Favors for a lot of games. Lonzo Ball's been demoted to the bench, but they've lost several heartbreakers, so they're not getting blown out as much. And if they're going to keep J.J. Redick's perfect playoff streak alive, they're going to have to start winning some games. And they're playing against my Nets as we speak right now. Real barn burner with 5 minutes to go in the third quarter. The game's tied at 51, so I don't think anyone's cracking 100 tonight. But my hope is that both of those teams, who are my wild card young teams that I picked to make the playoffs, to turn their seasons around.
All right. So in the spirit of giving here, I'm gonna take off my Bulls centric predictions here and say that for my third Christmas wish, I hope that the Knicks turn over their offense to the young guys. Let R.J. Barrett cook. Let Mitchell Robinson try to block every shot in his orbit. Let Frankie Smokes there kind of do his thing defensively. Let Kevin Knox do whatever he does. And just let the young guys play and hopefully kind of turn them loose and maybe get them some development time.
You were one Bulls pick away from me calling you Ebenezer Scrooge. So you're very lucky there, Ben. Way to switch it up. So my third and final, and then we'll get into our marquee matchups because this is a bit of a segue, but my third and final Christmas wish is that at least 2 of the 5 Christmas Day games end on buzzer beaters. I mean, with the talent playing on Christmas Day, man, it's possible. So I'm kind of hoping we're seated back, relaxing with our family, our loved ones on Christmas Day, and 2 of those 5 games end on buzzer beaters. I don't care who hits them. Just do it.
So those are some solid wishes and a little bit less Homer centric than me. So with that, and to kind of give you your chance to talk about your beloved team, since I've already pretty much done my Ben's Bulls Blues in the course of that segment, I want to turn it over to you to America's favorite segment, Jason, and that's the Nets news of the week.
Wow, I was prepared to do the marquee matchups here. That's why I had that as my third thing. But Fine, then deprive me of my water and then just run the show while you're at it. You post it, you edit it. I'm supposed to be the producer here. And there you go.